Hey. And welcome back to Kings of Influence, the podcast, podstream, where we talk about social media outrage and really anything else we want to talk about. I am one of your hosts, Ray William Johnson.
I am the other host, Epic Lloyd, and it is Wednesday, noon o'clock, and Kings of Influence is back.
Every Wednesday at noon, California time. So, man, it's been a hell of a week.
Yep.
And I kind of know what happened, because we work together. So I kind of know what happened, the big thing in your week.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to drop that on us? Because it's pretty, what I know of it.
Sure. Not the funniest thing, It's not.
That's okay.
It's not the funniest thing. So
I don't want you to be funny. I want you to be Lloyd.
Yeah, me is Lloyd. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure many people have experienced this. I'm sure many people have gone through it. I'm sure people have animals in their lives that are part of their family. But we lost our dog this week. Our dog died. Our 3-year-old dog, Dakota, died. And it fucking sucked, man. She was alive a week ago, and she's dead now.
So what happened?
It was kind of messed up, to be honest. Like, she had, like, a little growth on her mouth, like on her muzzle on the outside, and we went to the doctor to get it, like, looked at and removed. And it's supposed to be a simple procedure, and, like, they fucked it up. And she breathed in some, like, drool or something, like, it's called an edema. Like, she breathed, like, they either did something sloppy, or they didn't keep their eye on it, or they didn't tell us what to do right, and she breathed this stuff into her lungs. And then she came home, and she had, like, she was just breathing really heavy, and it sounded like she was really congested. And so we kept taking her back and forth to the vet like 4 or 5 times, and they kept on just being like, yeah, it's fine. And then meanwhile, it's like in that situation, the actual reality of it is it's a race against the clock, because what was happening is she was growing an infection inside of her lungs. And we got her back at, like, I don't know, she wasn't here when you were here last week, because
last Wednesday when I came here to shoot the podcast, I came here and there was only one dog in your house, and I said, "Where's your other dog?"
Yeah.
And where's Dakota? And you said, "Well, she had a growth on her face, and we had to take her to the vet."
Right.
But there were no alarms.
It was nothing like that. It was like as if you got a mole removed.
Yeah, that's kind of the way you casually told it to me, like that, and I thought, oh yeah, just trip to the vet.
Yeah, that's what it was supposed to be.
Right.
And the guy was so lackadaisical. So when we got her back around 3:30 or whatever, she was just super lazy and super, like, like a dog has been. They didn't give her anesthesia. They just sedated her, which is probably, they just gave her, a drug or whatever. And she was just really tired and really lethargic. But as the night wore on, she started breathing heavy and like that. And we called them, and they're like, "Oh, it's fine. It's just the drugs. Can we feed her?" "Yeah, go ahead and feed her." So we feed her, and then at night she slept through the night, and then woke up at like 5 a.m. just throwing up like bile and all this gross stuff. And we're like, and my wife is like on point with, like, she's just a detail-oriented person. That's why we get along so well. She is on it with calling doctors and being there and knowing what the schedule is, and so she's calling them. And they keep on being like, "No, she's fine. Can we feed her in the morning?" "Yeah, feed her." She throws up again. So then the whole day on Thursday, we're just, like, worried sick about this dog, and we're calling. And I went to work, and like Josie brought her back into the vet at like noon, like, to be like, "What is going on here, guys?" And they, like, look at her, like, give her a shot of some sort of antihistamine. They're like, "Oh, she's fine." It's the same guy. And he's not our normal dude, and it just doesn't feel right. And Josie's like, something's not right. So she brings her back home. Then at like 4 o'clock, she calls me in tears, like, something is wrong. Like, she's not walking, she's not eating, like, she's breathing very heavy. I come back here, I'm like, what the fuck? So I call the doctor up. I'm like, this is what's going on. The mouth is swollen and blah, blah, blah. And finally, he's like, okay, come in. So we come in, and by that time, I have to carry my dog. And she's like a pit bull kind of a dog. I have to carry her into the vet.
Yeah, she's big.
Yeah, not massive, but big. And they make us wait there for like 45 minutes. And again, this is like in hindsight, you are racing against the clock right now. there is infection in her lungs growing and causing it's giving her pneumonia, which is liquid in your lungs. So, and I know this is more, but I'm sorry, you guys. I mean, this is kind of how it helps me to talk about it. Anyway. So, yeah, finally they're like, oh, well, what's going on? Oh, she looks fine. Give her a shot. But then he takes her temperature, and she's got 104.5 degree fever. And dogs, their temperature is supposed to be about 102. So it's a fever. And he's like, oh, that's weird. And we're like, yeah, it's fucking weird, dude. What's like? But he wouldn't. And he's like, maybe we should do a chest X-ray. And they do that, and that takes a while. And then and I don't even want to say too much because I'm trying. I don't know. The nurses bring her in, and they kind of carry my dog in like a sack of potatoes, and they're sort of giggling. And he's like, yeah, you might want to go to the emergency room. And he just doesn't give us any sense of urgency, any sense of what level of emergency we're dealing with at all. It was just so lackadaisical about the whole situation, which was infuriating. We're like, what's going on? So he's like, yeah, she's got some fluid in her lungs, so probably you should take her to the emergency room. And we're like, okay. And at this point, like, this is like 15 hours after the surgery. No, I'm sorry. This is like about 20 hours after the surgery. She got the surgery on Wednesday. This is Thursday afternoon, maybe 24 hours. And we're like, man, and in our mind, we're like, man, this sucks. We're putting our dog through this. Oh my God, this really sucks. There's no level of this is going to kill our dog. There's like zero, you know what I mean? Like that starts to happen. So we fucking fly to the emergency room. We bring her in there. And then these people at the emergency room were excellent, just excellent in Culver City. And they kind of lay it out for us of like, here's what's going on. This dog has we need these X-rays and we need all the records. And we're like, yeah, the other people said they were going to send them over. They didn't send them over. They took the wrong kind of X-rays. They overcharged us for the X-rays. And so it just steadily throughout the night, we just kept getting calls like she's getting worse. We might have to put her on a respirator. There might have to be tubes. She's getting septic, which means like a massive infection inside of her lungs. And it just steadily went from being like, it was like a slow motion car accident. It was like, how is this happening? And then it was like eventually the doctor, who was very good, was like, he never said what we should do. Like he never said we should give her euthanasia, but it was like, this is where you're at. We're going to need, she can't breathe. She's drowning in her own blood, basically in her lungs. She's in a lot of pain right now. We're giving her pain medication, but that only makes it worse. We could operate and try to find the source of this, like, infection, that whatever she breathed in her lungs. That would mean cutting her open. That would mean putting her back under anesthesia. That would mean it would cost you about $20,000. And I was like, well, fuck it. Let's do it. What are the odds? He's like, very poor. And that would mean putting her through all that. She might, most times they die in the middle of surgery. They bleed out painfully. So it was like, so we ended up having, had them put her to sleep. And it was just like, they're like, do you want to see her? We're like, yeah, I'm not having my dog go out like that in a fucking room, so like my hand was right on her head. And it just sucks, man. Everybody loses a dog. Everybody loses a cat. And as a kid, I had a dog. It just felt like a completely different sense of ownership. And like Josie and I, we don't have kids, and like our pets are our kids. And that dog, I have two dogs, and my one dog, Parker, he's a lot like a cat. He's sort of solo, and he's sort of not mopey, but he's moody. You know what I mean? He's not like that dog that meets you at the door and wags his tail and licks your face. And I'm sort of moody, and that dog was the source of pure positive energy in the house. And then we removed that like violently, and it hurt me, but also watching what it did to Josie was awful. So,
what did it do to her?
I mean, she's just devastated. You know what I mean? Like watching someone just devastated. It's it sucks. So hug your pets and sorry to have a heavy story. I'm sure we'll talk about some funny stuff today, but that it's real.
No, that was great.
And that was what happened.
And I mean, when I say great, I mean it was great that you opened up. I'm sure that's therapeutic in some way.
Yeah, I mean, it was surprising to me. I've seen people lose dogs. I was like, all right, relax, dude. It's a pet. But I feel a little naive now, having said that, and it surprised me how much it affected me. And I think a lot of it was the traumaticness of it, the anger of it, of that it was somebody else's fault that because they messed up, and then watching my wife, who is like the source of happiness for me, watch her go through that. And I'm sure it was the same for her watching me, but just seeing that was just like, oh, and it just like a sense of being powerless. I hate that. I hate feeling powerless. Like I can't control something. So that was just a shitty situation. Not a fun week.
So when they took you into the that room, because I've never had a pet put to sleep sort of in my presence. So when they take you into that room, do they sort of do it there, or do they give you just a moment with the dog and then you leave and then they do it?
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said,
and how do they do it?
The emergency room was great. They were amazing. So they had like their back triage room where like lots of dogs are, and they had my dog in like an air kennel. Like it was like a kennel where it was like they would feed air through her nose. But at that point she was like on the table, on the operating, not the operating table, but on like the examining table, and they had her hooked up to a bunch of different antibiotics and an IV and all of these things. And she was like, it looked like a doctor's office and like a hospital in there. So they're like, do you want to see her? Do you want to be with her when we do this? I was like, yes, we do. Do you want to see her first? Because when they give her euthanasia, they take all that other stuff out and then put an IV in, and it's different drugs, obviously. So we went back into the room to see her when she was all hooked up. They're like, it's not pretty. She's like bleeding, like blood coming out of her nose. It's not like you're bleeding out of your nose. It's like there's blood in the CO2 that you're breathing out because there's blood in your lungs. So we went in there and sort of like said a quick goodbye. And honestly, we were so conflicted about what to do. We were like, I hate the fact that money was even a consideration in what we do for this thing that we love. But it is. It's a fact, But when we saw her and how much, like, she looks like she was in pain. It looked like she was drowning, like have you ever like sprinted super, 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 super hard? Imagine sprinting really hard and then jumping in a pool and treading water right after that. That's what it felt like what, you know what I mean? So
like when a little kid cries.
Yeah, almost a little bit like that when they're exhausted, when they're like that. Yeah, a little bit like that. But more like you're not. So when you have all that stuff in your lungs aren't operating properly. So you're not getting the amount of oxygen. You're not turning the air into oxygen on a high enough level. So it feels like the air is getting sucked out of the room. So we saw her, and then so you go back into the back room there, and then we went. They had like these little waiting rooms in the facility, and that's where they it was a private room too. And they brought Dakota. They took her off all that stuff in the back and wheeled her in and brought her into this private room with us. And we could really say goodbye to her there. And then the doctor came in. It was astonishing how fast it was over. Like it's basically it's like two tubes. One puts her to sleep. Two. Done. And it was over in like 45 seconds. So wow. As soon as she walked in, and they have like a little bell. They must do this all the time. I mean, so much applause to those guys for having such good bedside manner. They must have to deal with this all the time because everything was set up for it. There was like a little bell on there when we did our teary, weepy goodbyes, and then rang the bell. And I thought it would be, I'm never going to let her go. But after seeing her in there, I was like, I got to say goodbye. Let's get her. Let's stop this for her. You know what I mean? Like, we need to protect her by making this pain stop. So, like, rang the bell. Guy came in. One in, puts her to sleep. Two, check her heart. That was it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was it. And then it was just like shock, like a kid. Like, my mom died when I was 25, and that was an opposite experience. It was like 8 years worth of struggle and stuff, but I definitely haven't felt a loss like that since that. And it was just very surprising. I think maybe probably it triggers some, those things are connected in your brain or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
I didn't know your mom died. You may have mentioned that when we were, I don't know, at some point. But I didn't like push you to go into details because I don't typically do that.
Yeah.
But what? I mean, that's pretty big. You said 8 years of.
Well, she had breast cancer.
Okay.
And it was like a battle back and forth, and so that started. So 8 years before I was 25, so maybe at 18. And in high school, when I was in college, that was that. So that experience definitely it does a thing to you. So morbid today, guys. Sorry, y'all. But yeah, I'm sure people experience that, but I hadn't experienced that sense of rage at something you can't control for a long time.
You think you directed a lot of that at the not the emergency room, but the vet before that?
I mean, that's where we're at. I'm trying to mitigate the balance between natural anger that you should have, but then when I look at this, like I said, my wife is very detailed, and we wrote everything down, and after looking at this, it's infuriating at how many times they missed things and didn't do things right. And we've had good experiences with that place for a long time, and I blame myself of we should why did we have to get that stupid thing on our mouth taken off so fast? Why were we so concerned about that? It ended up being a benign tumor, like a skin tag essentially, or a virus. And or maybe we should have taken her in sooner, or we should have trusted our gut more and rose hell more. All that stuff.
I don't know if there's anything you could have done.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. But I definitely have had a couple of bad nights where you get, I you get drunk and you just fucking get pissed. So it's nice. It's good to talk about it, but I would have rather not have it happen.
Well, yeah, no kidding, man. It's that's
yeah,
awful.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate you saying so.
Ooh. Therapy hour.
Yeah, right. Here we are.
Kings of Influence.
Kings of Therapy.
Kings of Therapy.
Kings of Therapy.
Oh, my God.
Well, laughter is really good medicine, too, so.
Well, I have nothing. I only have enraging things to talk about this week.
Okay. That works.
So we can go into some of that. I got to tell you kind of what I did. Completely switching gears, and my apologies if it left turns. So I tried this stuff called CBD oil, which is a cannabis-based oil.
Okay.
That you can smoke, or you can put it on your. It's legal in California, so it's like weed without the weed. If I have to really break it down, I didn't research it all that much.
Is it?
But
THC?
it helps. I don't know. No, actually, I think it's like a tiny bit of THC, and then the rest is CBD. So it's like the opposing. I'm gonna fuck it up. I'm gonna fuck it up trying to explain it. Well, here's what I know. I know that people swear by it for things like anxiety.
Okay.
And so I thought I would try. I was like, oh, cool. So I go to the weed store, and they give me this little. It's like a pen. I mean, it's like a vape pen, but it's smaller. Almost looks like a little tampon or something like that.
Okay.
Just like it's white and all that. And you only take one hit. So I tried it. Because I'm like, well, maybe, and I'm not like a self-medicator like that. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I'd probably just drink alcohol all the time to help the anxiety. But, people were really, really into this. So I smoked it, or I tried it, took my one hit or whatever, and I was a little disappointed with the results.
Okay.
Because here's what it did. It got me, half high, meaning it just kind of made me stupid. I will say I didn't have as much of that worry factor that anxiety gives you about just everything, but I also felt really, really stupid.
It just dumbed you down so you couldn't process anxiety.
Not embarrassed, stupid. Just kind of dumb. Just not as sharp.
Huh? CBD. I wonder what drug that is. Half high.
Yeah, it was weird. I guess the only way I could equate it would be like if you had a one beer and you're not like drunk, but you're not sober.
Right. But it was different than smoking just a little weed.
Yes, it was different than smoking a little weed. Like I didn't enjoy music,
Right.
like
right.
weed does.
You didn't focus better.
Yeah. Well, I focus worse on weed, but no, it got me. I don't know. It just kind of made me stupid. Like, and I'm like, oh, well, that's why you don't worry as much. You're dumber.
You're dumb. Your brain's not working. I wonder if people. I bet you there's a lot of people who enjoy feeling stupider, just because it takes a lot of the load off.
Well, to be fair, when I drink, I feel dumber, but there's something fun about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I'm just not as sharp, but I don't care. But there was something about this. Now, to be fair, you're supposed to experiment with it for like 5 days to a week.
Huh.
To really like do it. So I'm still kind of experimenting with it, seeing if I can maybe take a half a hit or whatever. Maybe it was too much, but I can't walk around feeling stupid.
No. Well, I feel like that's maybe where you and me are different. Like I would immediately be like, well, maybe I just need to smoke more of this and like go over the edge to some level where you're like, maybe I need to smoke less, and it's just like a more subtle thing.
Yeah.
Huh.
I also don't feel I have that kind of body chemistry where I don't feel the difference between indica and sativa.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, not at all. Like it all gets me the same high. Like it all just gets me high.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't. There's no like, well, it makes you more creative and more sleepy. No, it makes me high. just stone, no matter what it is. And every time I say that, there's always some clown who's like, okay, but you really have to try the purple. It's because you're not smoking the right stuff. You got to hit the purple, whatever.
Purple wizard eater.
Yeah, it's like the weirdest names ever. And I'm like, I promise you, it will just get me high.
Yeah.
And there are varying levels of high. It's like very high versus like just a tiny bit high. Sure, that varies.
Yeah.
But really just high. In the same way that all alcohol just gets me drunk.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely feel different types of drunk between wine or beer or tequila for sure. But you saying that made me think of a fun game we should play sometime called is this a weed name or a beat name? Because both of those are the most arbitrary names of all time. Like,
there are different names of beats?
Yeah, like when you buy a beat off a SoundClick or something, always the beats always have a name.
I thought you meant like the root.
Like my vegetables.
Yeah.
Vegetable names. No, like beats will always have weird names like Gorilla Knuckles, or like they'll just have some arbitrary name that they want to use to try to like make people feel they want to open it and listen to it. And I feel like weed is the same way. White Widow or Kush Monster.
Oh yeah.
Whatever is
backwards giraffe.
Yeah. Weed name or beat name?
Wow. Purple knuckle. Yeah. No, definitely. And I never pay attention to that bullshit.
Yeah.
Because it just gets me high. Okay.
Well.
Big story this week.
Okay.
Speaking of getting high.
Bing, 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 bing. The big story.
The big story that I didn't even prepare for because it just happened and everyone knows about it. So it's almost impossible not to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Which is that Helsinki thing. And it's like I don't inherently want to make this a political podcast by any means, but we're kind of drowning.
We're forced
in some of this stuff.
Our hand is being forced.
It was such a nutty thing to watch the news conference and then to watch the apology and to watch Trump do the like, well, I meant to say, I said would, I meant to say wouldn't, it's one of those double negative things. Yeah, no big deal. And it's like, here's the thing. I'm not one of those guys who's like collusion. There probably wasn't any collusion, and even if there was, it probably wasn't a big amount. I definitely don't believe our president is like a Russian agent of any sort or anything like that. I don't want to believe that. That sounds ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
Sounds completely ridiculous. That sounds like it's not even believable enough for a B movie where like the president is a cell for another country.
I just don't think he's that smart.
That's crazy,
I don't
right?
think he's that smart.
Maybe not. But I got to tell you, when I see things like that, the conspiracy part of my brain goes,
what is happening?
Maybe he is. He's up there. He's praising the guy that the rest of the world condemns, and while he's condemning his own intelligence agencies, and then like Congress isn't even behind him, and members of his own party aren't behind him, and his own supporters aren't behind him, and everyone is going, why the hell are you going out of your way to try and make Putin look good?
It's mind-boggling. Even when I'm in a negative place, I try not to turn the TV on and pound myself with more negative things. So I did a lot of watching Netflix stand-up specials and things like that this week. But I definitely couldn't avoid hearing what was going on. And I feel like for me, I'm just not surprised anymore.
It's hard to be.
I just am not. There's nothing he's going to do that's going to surprise me. And you know what broke it for me was the grab her by the pussy thing. When he said that and then still got elected, the baby went out with the bath. I was just like, I'm out. I have seen it all. And now treason. It's obvious that Russia was involved with the election. And
well, yeah, they definitely meddled. Like, that's not even up for question.
And I get if you want to be allies with someone, the best thing to do is try to be friends with them. If we want not to be in war with Russia, probably it's best to try to play nice. But it's just such a massive political disaster. Like, you have to do it in the right way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to say things. You have to be political about it. You still have to. He basically bent over and took it in the ass by Putin. Putin, I hear, is getting like heralded as like a hero
for outmaneuvering Trump. He is getting praised for outmaneuvering Trump.
He's just riding
which is
bear
crazy
with a fucking AK-47, just like, yeah. He's gonna mount the head of Trump in his like sports cabinet back home.
The fact that Trump even went out of his way to take that meeting, like he really pushed for that meeting, like really boggled my mind, because of all the investigation stuff going on. And I'm not saying that he colluded or he's guilty or anything like that, because that is yet to be seen.
Right.
He could very well not be guilty, and that's completely fine. In fact, I hope he's not. However, the way I put it in my other live stream, I say it's like Kelly was accusing me of cheating on her with Sally. And I said, but that makes me so upset. I'm so offended. I'm going to go hang out with Sally.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
I'm hanging out with Sally. Sally understands me.
Right, yeah. Sally doesn't put me through this.
Thanks for coming over, Sally.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you in my life.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
The whole thing, it really does start to break logic. Like, my brain is broken trying to understand what was happening.
I just want to get a montage of the looks on the faces of all the press people that try to work with Trump at the time he drops these things. It would just be like a montage of like, just over and over again of like, oh, just the shake my head emoji, just over and over and over and over again.
Oh yeah, or just the shot, right? Because the press, they're like outraged anyway. They can take something small and make it into something big.
Yeah.
So
sometimes that happens. Sometimes the extreme liberal people, all they have to do is bitch, and all they want to do is get upset about stuff. But even like Fox News was like, like it just
yeah. It was weird. It was weird watching Fox like kind of half turn on him and stuff.
They have to.
Yeah.
They have to.
Well, how could you not?
Because that's the party of America doesn't back down to anybody. Fucking blah, blah, blah. And then their boy just like took it in the butt by fucking Drago. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Rocky just got his ass licked by Drago. There, I said it.
I beg your pardon?
Sorry.
Literally got his ass. Yeah, it blew my fucking mind. Okay, so here's something else that blew my mind. Now that we got that out of the way, how can we not talk about it?
Yeah.
That moment is going to be in history books. For some reason, I feel it.
The United States' biggest dope moment.
Dope. Okay. I still don't get it. Hopefully one day it'll make sense. I have a need for things to fit into place, like Legos, like they snap into place and they feel good.
Yeah.
And make sense.
Yeah.
And that absolutely doesn't make sense.
No. It doesn't. And it's what I want to know is, I just want to know that there's got to be hidden things going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Something's going on under there, way under there. I don't think we'll ever know for sure. I think there's so many things that the president of the United States is privy to that normal citizens will never know. I just really want to know how it all went down. And I'm watching this documentary about the Vietnam War right now, and it's by Ken Kesey, who does all those history books and things like that. And this is like a 9-part docuseries, and each episode is like an hour and a half long. So this thing dives deep. And I'm learning so much about now that there's 50 years, I guess.
The archives have opened.
Yeah.
There's all this historical documents.
And you get just such a wider view of all the intricacies of what happened and everything and all the moving parts and how complicated it was. And still, you can still make your judgments about it, but the amount of scope you have when you see all the sides changes perspective immensely.
Oh, yeah.
And I just wish we could do that now. I think the problem with the current president is like when you found it out, you might still be like, well, what the fuck? That's even dumber than we thought.
Yeah.
Like it might even be worse. It might be on some bullshit. I just think, I think you're right. 50 years from now, we're going to look at this situation and be like, oh, boy. I just get a little bit scared that it could get real bad, Like, we're acting like a country that hasn't been to war in a while.
Yeah.
And that is scary to me.
When you say bad, you mean bad like...
war, conflict.
like war with Russia?
Yeah.
In a hypothetical scenario?
Could you imagine if it was Russia, North Korea, all the Arab states, and China versus us in France?
Us and
Canada?
I don't think that kind of war would happen.
No, I don't think.
I think it's very unlikely. Yeah. Just because political interest would suggest that going to war like that is not good.
We'll kill everybody.
Well, yeah, it'll
It'd
kill
be a
everyone.
Space war.
Ooh.
Or it could be a gladiator war. You just get to pick one guy.
Oh my God.
Who would we pick? Who would America pick? John Bones Jones? I might pick John Bones Jones. The UFC champion, John Bones Jones?
Oh, well then, if he's a UFC champion, yeah, let's go with him.
He's amazing. And he got kicked out of the UFC for doing too much cocaine.
Ooh.
I would give him a bunch of
I like him
cocaine
already.
and send him into fucking battle.
And who do they pick?
Oh, man, they probably got
China's got like 2 billion people
they probably
to
got
pick
some
from.
Killer over there. They probably just got a killer over there.
Russia picks an actual bear?
Yeah, just a bear that they've trained to speak.
Wow. Oh, my God.
They've trained through the use of pain to speak. You will speak.
I will take on this bear myself in hand-to-hand combat. Never before have you seen better hand-to-hand combat. People tell me all the time how good I am at hand-to-hand combat. Also, no collusion.
Yes, tiny hand-to-hand combat.
Tiny hands combat. That's fucked up. That is fucked up. Okay, check this out. So Forbes put out this list last week, and this has been everywhere. And they put Kylie Jenner on this list, and they said that she is one of America's richest self-made women. In fact, she is about to become the richest female self-made billionaire. Now,
really?
The problem is not whether or not she has made a fortune, because she has, and like good for her, women empowerment and such.
Yeah, the self-made.
The problem is the self-made title. There's nothing about Kylie Jenner that is self-made. Now, this bothers me actually on a personal level because I am self-made.
Yeah, right.
Because I wasn't able to leverage anyone's fortune in to make my business in the way that she actually was. And if we want to go through the history, we can, because I had to fucking look it up for this podcast
just to find out what exactly she made.
Well, no, the history in terms of her dad obviously. Rob Kardashian got famous for the OJ trial, and and he actually was self-made. He was apparently an immigrant, and he was a lawyer, and then he marries Kris Jenner, and then Rob dies. I think it was a heart thing, and then Kris marries Bruce Jenner.
Yes,
and then they have all these kids, and then all that, but then they have that reality show which Kylie was on when she was like 9 or 10 years old. So 9 or 10 years old, she is on what I believe was the biggest unscripted show
on TV
TV at the time for years, and didn't work to get it. Just was kind of put in it.
Yeah.
So she didn't even ask for all that fame.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I tweet about this the other day, and I tweeted something. I tweeted something like "fuck Kylie Jenner," something like.
Did people get up in
something
arms?
Kind of. Well, okay, so different. This is a good thing to talk about on social media podcasts. Different social media platforms have different standards and different measurements.
Sure.
On Twitter, you can, and I don't do this that often, but you can kind of be an asshole, and people are into it.
People like assholes on Twitter.
They really, really do. It's kind of that home. And so, I read that story, and I'm like, fuck this list and fuck her.
Yeah.
And so I thought about it. Because I think about things before I say them and tweet them in line, and I thought about it. I'm like, no, Twitter's actually I'll probably get more traction because I said it like this. And I did, and of course, the tweet got more traction than any of my other ones, and I don't tweet that often.
Right, but it had the word Kylie Jenner in it, and so...
Oh, yeah, fuck Kylie Jenner and fuck this list. Because these lists, they contact you before they put them on for the interview, and they put her on the cover of Forbes and all that stuff. So it's not like she wasn't in on it.
Self-made.
But don't pretend that you're self-made.
Yeah.
Like, sure, everyone, if you want to define it, like everyone gets help on some level from from your parents or the state or whatever, but not everyone is able to leverage family members' fortune.
Yeah, absolutely.
To make another fortune.
If you're on a TV show when you're 9 that you didn't have to audition for,
yeah,
that's not self-made.
And I applaud her.
Oh, no!
Hello, camera fell. Sorry, that was me hitting the table.
Sorry, guys.
Whoops.
We're back. Let me ask you this. I'm proud to say I have very limited knowledge of the Kardashians and their squad.
Me too.
I thought that Kylie Jenner was Bruce Jenner's daughter.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, isn't it the last name is the same? Jenner and Jenner? Wouldn't that mean that that's her dad?
No. Biologically, you can name anyone anything. I mean, sorry, but that doesn't mean anything biologically. You can name anyone anything if you want.
Right,
through
sure.
marriage or whatever, because...
Oh, so is she Bruce Jenner's wife?
No. Kris Jenner is Bruce Jenner's wife. I had to learn all this bullshit because I was very... See, and I can't even answer your question because I don't follow the Kardashians, but I do know enough to know that their 21-year-old daughter, who's about to be a billionaire because of her makeup line and shit, is not self-made.
Is it the makeup line that's making it her?
I think so, yeah.
Makeup and social media and just the business of being famous.
Yeah. It's all that. And hats off to her for working hard. I'm not trying to say she didn't.
Yeah.
But I will be demeaning and say, yeah, congratulations on turning your millions into more millions.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. If the list did not have the terms richest self-made woman, should you be saying fuck you to Kylie Jenner? Or should you just be saying fuck you to Forbes?
Both.
But why her, though? She didn't write the article.
That's what I'm saying. They contact you before they put you in the article. She was on the cover of the magazine.
Oh.
This wasn't a thing because they contact you for interviews and such.
And so you're saying she should have said, I'm not a self-made woman. I shouldn't be on this list.
If they contacted me with an incorrect title, I would ask them to correct it. And if they put it out incorrectly, I would publicly say, hey, I had nothing to do with that self-made thing.
Right. Okay, I see.
Like I don't believe that I'm self-made or whatever.
Right.
And sure, like, so anyway, so I tweet this thing on Twitter, probably the meanest thing I ever tweeted. I don't know. But anyway, I'm usually not that blunt, like, fuck this person. And I never go after other celebrities in that kind of way.
Yeah.
But really I did. I just, fuck her. And I got plenty of pushback from on that and on my Instagram, which I don't know how they went to my Instagram and were fucking with me in some DMs and stuff on Facebook. But plenty of people were like, the bullshit, like, you're just jealous and all this stuff. No, I'm not. I'm not jealous. I'm very happy with what I've been able to build with my life because I was able to build it from essentially nothing, which is a thing that Kylie Jenner will never have. I'm not looking to chase dollar signs and get billions of dollars. I don't want to spend my life doing that. I have other goals, and that's not one of them.
Yeah. What do you think that anyone who's born to parents who are millionaires has the ability to be self-made?
Ability meaning what? Like the capacity to be? You mean the ability to be self-made? It seems very unlikely. Look, I can tell you who's not self-made.
Yeah.
Her.
Yeah.
The girl who was famous at 9 because of her parents. And if you want to question that, sure, go ahead. But let me ask you this: what was her first job?
Probably being on that TV show.
She working at the ice cream parlor? Was she mowing lawns?
Right.
What was her first car?
Was she running track? What was her first car?
What was her first car?
Lambo.
Yeah, no shit.
Her first car was just a bunch of other people who aren't as rich just running, and she's standing on their back. She's just like whipping them.
So I got plenty of pushback, but one of the pushback messages, and I don't put fucking stock into internet messages when people are upset, but one of the messages said, "You just don't understand. She took $750,000 of her own money and invested it into that makeup line." And made it, and so I didn't reply, but in my head, I'll reply now. Do you hear yourself?
Yeah.
She was a teenager and took $750,000 of her own money.
And then one tweet from her circle of friends. You know how much people get paid to tweet when they have 10 million Twitter followers?
Yeah.
Who's her sister? Kim Kardashian? Or who do they hang out with? Kanye?
Yeah.
That is just not normal. You don't normally get to be like, hey, I was over at David Bowie's house the other day, and he was showing me these really cool things, and I figured we would try to sell them. Can we maybe tweet it? And then billions of people will buy what you want.
Yeah.
That's not.
No,
it's made.
It's
just
not
self-made,
and I think it's insulting and probably discouraging to people who actually are self-made. And honestly, I think that maybe I'm being dramatic here, but I think that kind of thing, that's what causes people to look at people who are poor and go, yeah, well, what's your problem? Kylie Jenner's self-made.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, anybody can do it.
Anyone can do it.
You can be anything you want.
If Kylie Jenner can become a billionaire.
Yeah, that's silly. I think that there is a lot of judgment there sometimes. I wonder what would have happened if she was like, nah, I'm not self-made. I wonder if people would have cheered for that. Probably. I mean, I'm sure she's not looking for any more fans, and I'm sure she's a very nice woman. I literally know nothing about her.
Without a doubt. She's fine and probably works her ass off.
I can't. You know what? I've met a lot of really rich people, and I have to say, the majority of them, I'm like, yeah, I know why you're rich.
Yeah.
You're super successful.
Yep.
You work your balls off. You have kids. They're great. So, but from afar, there's definitely that reaction of like, man, what the hell? What the hell are you doing?
What the hell? What do you?
You didn't grow up on the streets,
right? When
you're selling makeup at $90 for a lipstick or whatever the hell it is. Like that's your market is. I mean, I don't know how much you sell makeup for. I've never bought makeup, but I don't imagine you're buying her brand of makeup in Target or in some place where anybody can afford it.
I don't know. I know she had a big head start.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
No, it killed. It really did. It really is like, what do you do? But it upset a lot of people, and that's why we're talking about it because it created a bunch of internet outrage. Yeah. People were pushing back. Yeah, no, it wasn't just me.
Yeah,
I was there before. It was cool.
Hey, who else was on that list? Oprah, Oprah, self-made.
Oprah's very self-made. Yeah. I don't know who else.
It's hard to, and I think that's where it breaks it wide open. You put Kylie Jenner up against an Oprah, and you're like, these are two different things. The same result, sorta. Oprah, I think, would eat Kylie Jenner, just eat her on a salad.
Well, I can tell you a little anecdote about Oprah.
Oh, okay.
So I had read that this is how poor she was growing up.
Yeah.
There was no record of her birth, like she didn't have a birth certificate.
Wow.
And so this is just what I read. Her actual name that she was given was Orpah.
Huh.
But it was mispronounced as she was growing up. And so by the time she actually got on record when she was, a young kid, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that, they wrote it as they had been pronouncing, which was Oprah.
Interesting.
But that's how dirt poor they were in, I believe, Mississippi. But I could be
it
totally
was in the
wrong
South,
about
and
that.
she ended up in Chicago after a while. But yeah, man, that's self-made.
Yeah.
Oh, why wasn't Oprah on that list?
I think she was. She was. But I didn't read the whole list.
Oh, okay.
You ever get? By the way, this brings up a thing. You ever meet people who are successful, and you, like you said, you get that thing right away, and you're like, yeah, I know why you're successful. And I have this theory that successful is it's more of a personality trait than it is like a thing you do.
Yeah, an outlook, a mindset, a psychology. I'm sure there's books on books on books on books about this. I think that's very true. I think there's so many different ways to become successful, and like Steve Jobs, for example, massively successful, genius, but also a big prick, dick, got fired from his own company. I'm sure in 2018 Steve Jobs would be right up there with Weinstein or maybe not the sex part, but probably just to shitting on people and making them feel awful about themselves.
Right.
So there's that thing, but then there's just a lot of people out there who they just had a solid foundation growing up, and I think that goes a long way. If your parents were cool and you had something cool to watch and good and structured to watch, you get a certain mindset of just like, it's okay, this is going to be good. and you live through that, and you become a magnet for good things. You know, I believe that, which is, I think what you're talking about.
Yes, yeah, kind of. So I meet people, you know, when we're in LA and we're in this business, you meet people who are successful all the time, or you meet people who are like on their way to be successful, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And there are just so many of them that when you meet them, even without knowing their resume or what they're doing, you meet them and you go, oh yeah, this person,
he's gonna be a star.
This person's gonna kill it. He's gonna be a star in anything, in entertainment, in whatever. You're just like, wow, this person has like a thing. And so the more that I got used to that, the more that I kept meeting people like that, I started to think like, I think this is kind of a personality trait. You could take everything away from this person and they would somehow get it all back just because of all, like, the way that all of that success is attracted to them. And sometimes it's, you know, they just have that hard work personality. Sometimes they have that I'm not going to complain personality. Sometimes they're charismatic, or they have, you know, good ideas and all that. And that's not everyone I've met who's successful, for sure. Yeah. But I would say it's most of them.
Yeah. I think so too. I like to look up to those people. Those are people you want to look up to, because it's very easy to be bitter about people having money and jealous, but at the end of the day, it's kind of what you want. So I try to look at it like, no, I want to be like that person. Like, I'm trying to think of an example of someone, Weird Al Yankovic, for example. I don't know what level of money he is or how rich he is or whatever, but when I met him, I was like, yes, because he was everything you wanted him to be. He was super positive. He was uber talented. He was a great father. He was a great husband. He was hardworking. And when you are a fan of someone, I think a lot of people are like, we could be friends in real life. That's why I'm their fan. We could be friends.
Right.
And I still felt that way after meeting him. It was very gratifying. And he was someone where I was like, that's the kind of successful I want to be. I still want to be happy doing this when I don't know how old he is, maybe 50, 60. He's old. Not old, but
he's older. Yeah.
So yeah, people like that are amazing, and I think good to surround yourself with if you can.
So you think if everything was taken away from Weird Al and he was no longer Weird Al, like he got amnesia, something, you think that he'd be able to build just an amazing life from scratch?
I think you would.
Yeah, I think probably so too. I met him too.
Yeah.
And he's incredible.
I think knowing him, he would probably do something weird. He might not even do music anymore. He might just be like, it's a reset button. I'm going to go fucking breed the best brand of lettuce that's ever been out there, or do something. But I think he would be happy doing it, and I think he would attract good things to him when he was doing it.
Yeah. No, I totally... You can call me Standard Al.
Yeah.
That's what everyone calls me.
Right up the middle, Al.
Right. Fence right now. That's what everyone calls me.
Average Al. That works.
Good for him. No, I met him too, and he's an amazing dude. He has just a lot of charisma, and he's one of those guys that commands the conversation without even trying. You just like want to hear what he has to say. It's insane.
Yep. I do think there is a level of success that is promoted that shouldn't be, like, you know, in the era of like gangster rap and things like that. The music was a reflection of the things that these people were going through in their life, and that makes for good music and that makes for good art. But along with that, and along with those stars, and along with those people who were excellent for that, I think also is glorified certain things. Certain things get glorified, and then because of that, another type of person reaches success, and they don't handle it well. And I think a lot of those people burn out fast. But I've met a couple of those people too, and you can feel it right away. There's a stark difference between someone who you're like, oh, they're successful, they're going to make it because of hard work, and someone who is like, they got lucky. You know, there's always going to be a couple people who get lucky.
Yeah.
You probably have some talent, but this guy got lucky, and you can't sustain this. You can't. There's too much talent in this town, in this world, for you to go around treating people like that, and be longevity that's just not going to last. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, Lil Tay, for example.
I was gonna say, you want to drop some names?
Are we gonna like,
no.
You know, or any of those people like Screech, that guy Screech. He ended up just being a real dick, just a real.
You met him?
I met him, and
you got a story?
I do have a story.
Because we'd love to hear it.
I have a story about how Screech stole a joke of mine, and
Screech.
I did a lot of touring on the NACA circuit, and he was on the NACA circuit as well. And it was like the NACA circuit, you're either on your way up or your way down, kind of.
That's the college comedy tour circuit. Okay.
Yeah. And so he was at this convention thing or whatever, and we were talking about the it was the war in Iraq going on, and he's like, man, I just think the way you should have the war in Iraq is you just have Mardi Gras over there. Just always have Mardi Gras. And I was like, yeah, what, like you throw them some beads and they show you their face or something? And I was like, I don't know.
That's funny.
And then
they lived up the burqa?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
And probably not the best joke, probably not the most tasteful joke. I don't know. I just said it.
Yeah.
And then not 10 minutes later in his set, he lays that joke in about Mardi Gras and then says that exact same thing. Big laugh.
I was going to say it killed, didn't it?
Big laugh.
Yeah. If it bombed, you wouldn't care.
Yeah. And that was the other thing about him, and I hate to shit on people, and I don't know where he's at. I think he's in jail now.
Go on.
But the thing I didn't enjoy about him was when I met him as a comedian, we were in a whole convention of performers and students, so it was like comedians and stuff, and I was talking to him, and he immediately went into stand-up to me, another comedian, which was like, don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be able to tell that you're doing material here.
Yeah.
Why are you doing material? Let me just talk with you. It was just, you could smell it coming a mile away.
How many comedians do you know that are like that? That just don't shut off when they should? I've met so many, and
Many.
It frustrates the shit out of me.
Many, yeah.
Because it's like you're no longer talking to a human.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool on stage and it's cool on camera, but when it's me and you eye to eye, stop doing your bits.
Yeah, it's very, there's a certain level of bits that you can do that's fun to pal around with your boys and stuff, but then to not be able to change gears at all.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that's gotten, either I'm older, which I am, or people have just gotten sick of it, and it's like a more well-known thing not to do in the community, because I see it happen a lot less now, at least to me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That's
so I've met two people. So I've met a ton of people who don't shut off. I met two people who they didn't like. They were like a machine. Have you met like a machine, almost like a sub, not a sub, like a post-human? Like they're not like it's like they're an android for just performing.
Yeah.
And I met two people like that. I mean, we're talking beyond not being able to shut off, where you really just cannot bring them down to earth. And coincidentally, both of them are very successful.
Right.
One of them was T.J. Miller.
Oh, right.
Like,
right.
I met T.J. Miller and hung out with him several times, and every time it was a challenge to get him to stop, like, doing bits.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, because it's cool for, like, 5 minutes, but we're 30 minutes in, and you're still kind of performing and entertaining.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I feel like I'm walking next to a television set that's just kind of like barking out lines.
Yeah. You start to see it that it's a lack of self-esteem in somebody or something like that.
Yeah, it's like it's a complete defense mechanism.
But
it's
he's also hilarious.
A total
you know
suit of
I mean?
armor. He is hilarious, but I promise you, if you hang out with him in just one-on-one, it's like he's still hilarious, but you stop laughing because you start to go, it's like I'm talking to a recording.
Yeah.
This person is not, it's like they're making eye contact, but they're not making eye contact.
Right.
And it was, that was the first guy I met that did that, and it was weird. Like it's like I'm talking to a cartoon. Like there's just something off. Like I feel like the human brain, we recognize other humans, and we recognize like facial expressions, and we're really dialed into that shit. Like you really know when someone's, and especially the longer that you're around them, you know when someone's concerned. Like, you know when your wife is upset, she doesn't have to say anything.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of stuff. Like, we feel that in other humans. We empathize. We are built for that. Now, when you get around another human and you stop feeling that, it feels weird.
They're like a sociopath almost.
Obviously, I don't want to say he's like a killer or anything like that, because he's a really nice guy. But, yeah, there's a thing that's off. Almost like when you see someone who has, like, just... not a grotesque amount of plastic surgery, but just enough plastic surgery where you notice.
Yeah.
Like the weird lip thing.
How does anybody think that looks good? Why do they do that?
Well, despite that, what I'm saying is, like, you see that and it throws you off, because you're like 97% human.
Yeah.
But there's 3% of you that's off, and I just can't shake it. It's like your animal instincts. your DNA starts to boil, and you start to get that danger sense of like this is an outsider. This is bad. The other person I met who had that like robotic sense of just being on was Robin Williams. Now that one shouldn't surprise you at
classic.
all. That guy, I met him. I didn't meet him for very long. I was in his presence maybe 20 minutes. He was on the entire time. He had to make sure everyone was laughing.
Yeah.
He wore his performances like a suit of armor.
Yeah.
Like there was no, like I could kind of get like human things out of TJ. I could kind of have conversations in the way that we're talking about now.
Yeah.
Like that, like TJ would never tell me his dog story.
Right.
Without throwing some jokes in and trying to get a joke out of it, but you'd never get any emotion out of it. Robin Williams probably would never bring that up, like ever, and you probably couldn't get him to bring it up.
Wow.
And this is my very limited experience in meeting him, but it was like I tried to talk to him and be like, yeah, man, you're an inspiration to a lot of people and all that stuff, and he would just throw joke on top of joke on top of joke. Wow. And it's like, wow, I feel like you're on stage right now and I'm in the audience, and no matter what I say, you're going to constantly be on stage. Now, it makes sense that he wore that as a suit of armor because, his eventual suicide, drawing conclusions and stuff, like without a doubt, that guy was always trying to make other people happy because he himself wanted that.
And I imagine, like, even you being the level of, celebrity that you are, we're like civilians to him. Like, we are the people that he has to entertain. So I wonder, like, he's dealt with so many high levels of celebrity and so many high levels of people. I wonder how high up you have to be to actually see the real side of him, because I assumed that's what first of all, he thinks that's his job. It's like, yeah, I get that, like, this guy's another comedian or whatever, but my job is to be funny the whole time. And it obviously works. It obviously gets you on stage. It obviously, TJ Miller, madly successful. Robin Williams, obviously madly successful. I think that would be exhausting, and I think it kills you. I think they both of them, I think, have had drug problems. Certainly Robin Williams. I'm not sure about TJ Miller.
I've read that about TJ too. Substance problems. So it works on a career level, being on all the time. Like that'll get you so far in your career.
Yeah.
I don't know if it works on an emotional level.
No. I would assume not.
Right.
I would assume not.
I would also assume not. Yeah. I would assume, like when you go to therapy and that kind of stuff, it really helps you to like open up and talk and build that relationship. So I think being on all the time, it's like the opposite of therapy. It's like you never even get those little therapeutic moments that you would have gotten just by having a quick conversation.
Yeah.
With not even a stranger, but just with the people around you who are like trying to connect. Because I do think that human beings need that connection on some level, whether it's from the people in your immediate circle. Some people need it from people outside of that. And you're not getting that if you're performing.
Yeah.
You're not getting a connection when you're on stage.
No, there's no equal. You have to be equals. When you're equals, that's when you get those type of exchanges. When you're performing, it's one person's on stage and literally on a pedestal, and the other people are witnessing it, and they are there to experience it. Mm-hmm. And that is not equal.
No.
So, man. Well, I bet you there's 50, 60 people like that in probably way more. There's probably tons of people like that. There's probably people who are like that who aren't even comedians, I wonder if lawyers are like that. Like, God, man, he just won't stop prosecuting in the break room. He's just like
citing law. Yeah. Well, they're all. I mean, look,
she won't stop librarying and.
Right. She will not stop shushing. Every time we try to connect, she shushes me.
God, this guy's playing hockey every single second we hang out. He's always playing hockey.
I can't bring home a can of chew because he's just gonna hockey puck it up. No, I definitely think it's a defense mechanism, not just for performers, but for lawyers or for anyone who like I said, it's a suit of armor to protect them from any kind of connection.
Yeah,
and that is one thing I got from hanging out with those two people. Is it wasn't that they didn't like me, and it wasn't that they didn't want me to be happy right there. It's that they didn't want me to penetrate that shield of whatever was going on in them. And I hung out with both of them long enough and talked to both of them long enough to realize, like, I was not getting through.
Yeah. It's so funny because Robin Williams is such a brilliant dramatic actor as well.
Yeah.
Like, that's some of my favorite roles, like Dead Poets Society and Good Will Hunting. And I think I like him more in those films. Maybe, I mean, Good Morning Vietnam, it might be his best film, best example of both sides of that of him. But it just is so interesting that it was the humor that he went to immediately and just wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
Because he obviously can access different things. You know, he obviously can access real emotion and real experiences, but just maybe only when he's in that situation.
I'm guessing it took him a lot of work to access those dramatic feelings, and it was no effort to him at all to access, you know, his comedy or his accents or any of those performances like that.
Was he funny when he was doing it?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Like he was killing. Like it's like funny to the point where you're exhausted.
You can't even handle
Yeah, where you're just like almost like like in the way that a kid is kind of manic and they, you know, 3-year-old and they run around, and he's doing that, but he's doing it with humor and attention, and he's also a huge star. Yeah. So immediately you're looking at him, right? Yeah. Right when he's in the room, your attention is there.
Yeah. So if he wasn't who he was, do you think it would have been as funny, or would it have just been fucking weird?
No, if he wasn't who he was, he would have just been a really good comedian.
Right.
Like he would have been. The fact that he's a star, all that means is that your attention is on him immediately. You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
And your brain is trying to draw differences between the guy who's standing in front of you and the guy you've seen on TV.
Yeah.
Because that's the first thing you notice. Oh, is he bigger than I thought? Is he smaller? Is he shorter? Is he louder? Is he doing the thing that I remember? Is he like the genie, or does he talk normal? Like your brain does that immediately when you meet someone who you've seen on TV.
Yeah.
It's like this weird comparison thing, which in a way isn't fair.
Yeah.
Because he never claimed to be anything that he was on TV. It's just that as an audience member, you just kind of expect that. But the guy was absolutely brilliant.
Wow. Rest in peace.
Yeah, no kidding. What an inspiration, that guy. So look at this. Did you hear about the Scarlett Johansson story?
Someone asked her to. Now that I read the article, I remember reading it very quickly. She was going to play a trans character.
Yeah. She was going to play a character. I forgot my notes. She was going to play a trans character in a movie called Rub and Tug. It was about a guy who owned a massage parlor, a true story, based on a trans, am I getting this right, man? A woman who had transitioned into a man or identified as a man. I'm going to get that wrong. But anyway, so they were going to make a movie of his life.
Okay.
Very interesting guy from the maybe 70s and 80s, and he was also tied to the mob or something. And so Scarlett Johansson was tapped to play this role. And it was interesting because the guy's fat, too, which means she would have had to gain a bunch of weight.
Oh, right.
In theory. So Scarlett Johansson was tapped to play this role because she's, you know, an A-list star and she sells tickets and all that. And the trans community, you know, obviously the internet was outraged. That's why we're talking about it. Trans community was not having it. They were calling her out. She gave an official statement on it in the beginning, and it was a little bit dismissive.
Yeah, that's what I think people got pissed about. That's what I feel like I read. She made some sort of statement that was like, well, would you do this about... It was almost like, how about this? Or how about this? You know, like one of those sort of useless arguments that it's like, we're not talking about that. We're talking about this. I feel like that's what happened, no?
So what she had... I don't know. What she had said was something along the lines of like, well... You know, Jeffrey Tambor did it. Jared Leto did it.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to do it.
Right.
And those two, like, Tambor won an Emmy and Leto won an Oscar.
Yeah.
For their roles. And this wasn't like years and years and years ago. This was recent.
But I think she put it in a way of like, well, why don't you just tell Tambor and Leto to take their Emmys off of the shelf? We can talk about it then.
Maybe something like that.
It was something like a little insensitive.
So regardless, the internet was up in arms, and she eventually decided to back out of the movie.
And now probably the movie won't be as successful.
The movie, it's probably not going to get made, was the follow-up story to that.
Oh, wow.
Well, because, you know, you're in Hollywood, too. You know how these things work. You know how, like, getting funding for a project like that,
it's impossible.
it's like a modern miracle that they're able to do it.
Yeah. And especially when it's not a remake or a sequel or some book or something. It's a real story. It's actual original screenplay.
Yeah.
That is so rare right now.
In fact, the way it usually works is you go to investors and you go, yeah, we're gonna make this movie. It's a true story, and then you kind of pitch them this about this trans guy who ran a rug and tub shop, and you know, and he was connected to rub and tug, and he was connected to the mob and all this stuff. And they go, yeah, great, I don't care about the story. Is it gonna make money back?
Yeah, it's a business.
Yeah, and it's entertainment, but it's definitely a business if you're asking someone to put money into it.
Of course.
Hey, would you donate? Would you invest $1 million into this?
Yeah.
Am I going to get that $1 million back?
Yeah. What's the risk? How are you going to mitigate that risk? What are you doing to have it actually make money? Oh, Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, we know her.
Yeah,
that's a name.
I know
People
Scarlett
know her.
Johansson. She has opened movies before. People will buy tickets to see Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
I'm totally in. Here's my money.
And not only that, I understand if she makes a sort of a miffy comment or whatever, but she probably was getting barraged by that, and she was probably a little like, oh, God,
Yeah.
There's, I'm sure, talented trans actors
Without a doubt.
out there, but not as many by even a long shot, and not as many as that caliber. Like, I don't know any mainstream trans actors right now.
The not who are A-list.
No.
No.
The Wachowski brothers, I believe, have both transitioned into women.
Okay.
Is that how I think that's how you pronounce their name?
Wachowski? Yeah.
Yeah, the guys who did Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they both have transitioned, but those are directors, so not actors. I don't know any mainstream actors that are trans at this point.
No. And especially, even if there were, Scarlett Johansson is not just an A-list actor. Even among A-list actors, she might be the highest paid female film actress right now. If she's not, she's definitely in the top 3.
And she's a great actress.
Yeah, she's great.
I'm sure she would have done a
good
job at that.
In a perfect world, you recast the movie with an actor, like a trans actress who is of that caliber.
Yes.
But that doesn't exist. So you're left with two options. You put an A-list actor, a cisgender actor in it, or you cast a no-name trans actor. Now, if you cast a no-name trans actor, the problem is you're not going to get the investments, the $1 million investments that you would have if you would have put Scarlett Johansson in it, which is why the movie's probably not going to get made now. It's in danger of being canceled because they just can't get funding for casting a no-name.
Yeah.
Because it's way too fucking risky.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't put.
I wouldn't
money
either.
into that.
I wouldn't either. And no matter how much I love the story, it's not worth losing the millions of dollars that you would have to put into
if all those people on the internet really wanted to make a difference, they should all contribute to the budget of the movie. Like, put a couple bucks in each of them, and then maybe it gets made.
Yeah,
you know
right.
I mean?
With a trans actor.
Make a Kickstarter and hell yeah, go do it. Go do it. But I guarantee you that it won't make as much money without. Well, I can't guarantee that, but I would. My money would be it won't make as much money with a no-name actor as it would with Scarlett Johansson. That's just simple business.
That's science, yo.
Yeah.
No, there's no way. And the thing, like, I would rather a cisgender actor, and I'm not insensitive to that shit at all, but I would rather a cisgender actor like Scarlett Johansson play that role than the movie not get made at all.
Yeah, I think it would. I mean, I don't know in what light it sheds this person. If it's like, oh, great, we have a trans character and they look awful now. No, not physically, but like their actions are terrible. I don't know what the story is.
Yeah.
So that, I wonder why. I wonder what the actual story. I'm curious now if it's a good story or a bad story. It would be a little bit of a shame if all of this hubbub about who plays the trans character was happening when it really is just a movie about a terrible person, but I don't think it would be. Everybody needs a rub and tug every once in a while.
Well, so statistically, the trans community statistically is small compared to your average population. We're talking less than 1% of 1% of the population are trans in some form.
Yeah.
Now, when you copy paste that onto Hollywood, you got to wonder, okay, so how many trans actors are there in general?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's
probably a small
in the
number.
Hundreds.
Yeah, probably not a
maybe
huge
like
number.
It cannot be that big. That pool cannot be big.
No.
So even within that pool, it may be hard to find someone who fits that role because acting and getting a role, it's not just about being good. Being good is the least that you have to do. They also have to look the role. They have to be the right, like physically, like the height, the weight. They have to sound, especially this is an historical character. This is a real person.
Human. They have to look a little bit like the person.
They have to look like the person. They got to act like the person. They got to, they got to be the right race.
Yeah.
And even within that race, you got to be the right color.
There's several factors that will reduce that number, even if it was small. Yeah.
Yeah.
Silly. I think it's a I think it's an overreach, and I think the result is that now you don't get to see the movie at all, which is sort of a bummer.
I know, and that's unfortunate, but that is our 2018 internet outrage for you.
Yep, the internet is pissed.
They're so mad. Well, Scarlett Johansson did get a lot of shit before when she played the lead in Ghost in the Shell. And I don't know a ton about Ghost in the Shell. I know it was based on an anime. The lead was allegedly supposed to be Japanese in the anime, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Maybe it was one of those animes where they never specified.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely understand the backlash in terms of, like, I could never understand, like, being trans and being gay are obviously different things, but I never understood why they would cast so many straight white dudes to play gay male characters when there are lots of gay men in Hollywood that are super talented actors.
Gay guys are overrepresented in Hollywood. Overrepresented, meaning the homosexual population within the Hollywood actor community is a larger percentage than the homosexual population is in the general audience. Easily 15%.
There's more people here.
20%. Like, it's massive.
Yeah, and it does. I'm always kind of like, well, you know, does it have to be Sean Penn that plays Harvey Milk? Like, are there not any other? You know, and I guess that's what being an actor is. You do something that you are not. You are acting like something else. But that I did feel a twinge of that every once in a while when you're like, why not give it's almost like an honor to play Harvey Milk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was a hero.
Yeah.
I always feel like weird about that when, like, a British guy plays Superman. I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, that's our guy. What the hell? So I understand people being a little bit. That feels like a bummer sometimes, but there are so few actors who are transgender that I just don't know how you would possibly get it done.
Yeah, I don't think you can. Mm-hmm. If you're making a no budget indie, sure, you definitely can. If you're making a no budget indie that's not about an historical figure and you don't have to get all these things right, certainly you can. But in this case, it's like super complicated.
Yeah, it is. It is very complicated. I remember that movie Monster with
Charlize Theron.
That performance was amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she doesn't have the same sexual preference as the woman she was playing. And I'm sure, you know, you're also not homeless and she had to gain weight and stuff like that. And she really brought that character, who actually was kind of a twisted character.
Oh, yeah.
They humanized her quite a bit, but I read the story on that and it was pretty rough that whole, she was a murderer. She killed people. She was getting.
Aileen Wuornos, I think was the character's name. Yeah. I think they should have cast a real serial killer.
Right.
I mean, if we're going for authenticity.
Yeah, come on, man. There's plenty of people in prison.
They're
with a lot of time on their hands.
Underrepresented.
Yeah, sure.
That's great. Well, and that's the thing. They can't get casting accuracy right all the time.
Right.
And it also doesn't go both ways.
Yeah.
So you'll have gay men playing straight characters and such all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
And so what do we do about that?
That I feel like is fine.
Just the other way is not fine?
No. I mean, you're not going to be able to. I do think it does. That's what acting is. You're playing a part. You're playing something different than yourself. If you cast everybody who is the same in roles that they were the same, you would never be able to do anything other than what you are. And then you aren't an actor. You're just being yourself.
I think if the role you're playing is designed to mock the community that you're playing, then I think you should re-examine it.
Yeah.
If it's not, and you're doing a good job, I think, give it a shot if there are no other equivalents.
Yeah. Yeah. We agree on that. Period. End of story.
How long have we been on?
We've been on a minute.
Woo! Oh, we're a minute 20. We should
wrap it up here, guys.
Wrap it up.
Well, thanks for listening, you guys, and thanks for hearing the stories we had to say today. And rest in peace to my dog, and shout out to you guys for watching. We're here every Wednesday. We also have a SoundCloud page.
Yeah.
So check that out. We have a podcast, and you can find it on iTunes and SoundCloud. And we will very soon be moving this over to a video on YouTube as well. So keep in touch about that.
That's right.
We're on Facebook too, so lots of places to find us.
Right. So we will put a video version of this on YouTube. We're in the process of getting that. We're getting an editor for it. We're already on SoundCloud. That is soundcloud.com/Kings of Influence podcast.
Boom.
We are also on iTunes under Kings of Influence.
Yep.
And we're also on Facebook.
So
we have a
us.
Facebook watch page, facebook.com/Kings of Influence.
Yeah, that's what we are.
That's right.
So we'll sign off here until next week. Thank you for listening. My name's Epic Lloyd.
I'm Ray William Johnson.
Oh, wait.
What?
We didn't crown.
Oh, we didn't crown. Well, sorry, because we were running over time. You want a crown?
I'm crowning really fast.
I got a crown.
I'm crowning the biggest dumb dick is obviously our president this week. Dumb dick. He's the jester.
What is that guy doing?
Oh, my gosh. And the crown this week.
I think the crown should go to Kylie Jenner.
Yeah.
Sure.
I
don't want to downplay turning millions into more millions. Not everyone who's born into wealth can do that.
Right.
Like, I'm being serious. Like, it's a very difficult thing to do. She probably works her ass off. Undoubtedly, she works her ass off.
Yes.
I just don't think she's self-made. So for working her ass off and being potentially the youngest female billionaire in history,
Yeah. I'm on board.
then I think she gets the crown.
Hell yeah.
Good for her.
Kylie Jenner, good on you.
Yeah, all right. All right.
Well,
So,
thank you.
Thank you for watching Kings of Influence. I'm Ray William Johnson.
And I'm still Epic Lloyd. See you guys next week.
We're out of here.